Okay, so here is another overview of some of the new modules that were added to the VCV Rack library in the last weeks. Already we start with new modules from Aria Salvatrice. We have 3 new modules in this beautiful collection. We have rotators, grabby, and pokies, which I find really useful as macro controllers. So controllers you can use and control multiple things at once. I have here a small patch going on. The relatively new sequencer from Aria Salvatrice is sequencing an FM voice with 2 kitchen sinks from Squinky Labs. Now this is going once to the mixer and from there to a reverb, and once through a VCA, which is closed at the moment, and through Chronoblob. So let's have a listen to this. You can hear how much movement the sequencer is adding, even though it has only 4 steps. Okay, so now I have rotators here, which are 4 knobs that will output offset or constant voltage, and I have it controlling the shape and feedback of the kitchen sink of the carrier, and also the decay time of the reverb of plateau, which means that whenever the voice will become brighter, also the reverb or the decay of the reverb will become longer, and this is what I mean by a macro controller. So it will control multiple things, the brightness of the oscillator and the decay time of the reverb. It will sound like this. Which is quite cool. One more time. Very nice, and you have 4 of those, of course. You also have a grabby, which is the same but with a fader or a slider. So this is controlling the shape of the modulator, the voice or oscillator that is doing the FM modulation. And it's also controlling the FM depth. So again, the voice will become brighter, and in the same time, also the VCA that sends this voice to the delay will also open, so it will be like this. Oh yeah. Oh man. Man, I can play like this for hours just with those 2 controls. Okay, so you see as the voice itself is changing, it becomes woody with the FM modulation, and at the same time it goes also through a delay just at this time, just when it becomes brighter, which is quite cool. And there is also pokies, which is the same just with buttons. So you can set a macro controller to trigger multiple things if you want. So those are 3 new modules from the Aria Salvatrice collection. And here's a new module from BogAudio. We have R-Gate, which is a clock modifier, so we can change the length of the gates of the actual clock signal. We can divide the clock, but we can also multiply the clock, and we have CV control over everything. There are not so many clock multipliers in VCV. So this is a really nice addition. So here I have again a small patch going. We have an FM voice. I use one ADDR sequencer to sequence its pitch. I use another ADDR sequencer to sequence the FM depth. I have here also noise going through a VCA, and I have a really short envelope controlling this VCA, which means that I have a sort of a hi-hat, let's say. And I have the clock going through 2 R gates, and I have 2 ADDR sequencers sequencing the multiplication. So we have sorts of ratcheting, if you will. It will sound like this. Which is really nice. So you can sequence them, you can randomly sequence the multiplication or division, create all sorts of interesting rhythms. So really, really nice addition. Okay, and we have a few new modules in the Count Modula collection. We had already the Hyper Maniacal LFO, which is a really interesting LFO, but now we have an expander, the Megalomaniac expander, that gives us control over the rate of each of the LFOs, also the mix and also the range and the wave, so we can modulate all sorts of things. Here you can see I'm using the 8FO to modulate all sorts of things here, the rate and some of the mixes. This is in turn modulating or controlling the position of the wavetable of the wave oscillator. It will sound like this. So we can really create interesting modulation wave shapes. And there are also two flip-flops modules that you can use. So again, new modules from Count Modula. Okay, we have new modules from JW. We have divide, which is a clock divider, and preset that will output again offset voltage, but you can set for each of the steps how much voltage you want and then sequence it. So here you can see again how much voltage I have in each step, and I'm sequencing it in this case with the XY pad. I'm also using a really quick clock in this case, sending it through divide, and I'm modulating the division of the clock, and this is triggering the note sequencer, also JW. Again, we have kitchen sink going through some delay and reverb. It will sound like this. Really nice. And I have the preset here controlling the shape or the folding of the waveform. And again, you can see for each of the steps you can go with this blue square and set different values for each step and save them. And then this yellow square is the sequence itself that goes step by step and outputs this voltage. So really interesting modules, JW. And we have two new modules from Squinky Labs. We have the Organ 3, which is an organ voice with a built-in attack release envelope. We have also the basic VCO, which is a high quality, simple VCO that we can use. So here I have the note sequencer sequencing polyphonically, so it's sending chords to Organ 3. And I have the gray code, which is a random gate generator going through Slade, which is an 8-channel slew limiter. So I'm using this to modulate the different bars or harmonics. It will sound like this. Of course, it has also some send reverb. Oh yeah. And I have the chords also going to ARP from Hampton Harmonics, which will arpeggiate those notes. And this is sequencing the basic oscillator going through slap and the wave shaper also from Squinky Labs. It will sound like this. Very nice oscillators, very nice additions, Squinky Labs. Okay, I hope you are ready for this. We have new modules from Stoermelder. We have the MIDI-cat memory. If you are using the MIDI-cat module, also Stoermelder, and you are interested, you can have a look in the manual exactly what it's doing. But we have also spin. You can convert your mouse wheel in a way that it will control different parameters. So you can, instead of clicking with the mouse and moving the mouse to control the parameters, you can do this with the mouse wheel. In my case, I have it set that it works with the modifier, which is Shift. So I have to hold Shift on the keyboard and then the mouse wheel will control whatever I want. And I have it also connected with Sail that was previously released from Stoermelder. That will output stepped voltage. So now, for example, if I hover with the mouse above the dry control of plateau, I hold the Shift and I just scroll with the wheel. You can see it's moving. I'm not clicking. I'm not doing anything with the mouse itself. I'm just using the wheel to change this parameter. So really interesting. You can use this. We have also stroke, that you can map everything on your keyboard to output gates really quickly. In my case, I have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, triggering the steps of the clay sequencer. And I have also another button that is triggering the load, so I can change the sequence of the clay sequencer. Let's have a listen to this. I have it sequencing an FM voice. So now I just hit, you can see, look here on the switches here, how they change. I'm not clicking them, I'm just changing this with the keyboard. And then I hit load. And we have a different sequence. So like this I can play the clay sequencer with my keyboard, which is quite cool for live performances. One more time. Really nice. Okay, we have also transit, which will be very similar to 8-phase, but in this case it will slew or will smoothly transition between the different presets. So I have it, you can see I have it controlling here a few things on the FM operator. It's mapped to the FM operator, and now I can switch between the presets. And when I click the second presets here, have a look at the knobs, how they move slowly. They don't jump, but they smoothly transition between one state and the other. Just like this, and another one. Very nice. It has also an expander if you want more presets. And we have also X4 that you can map and control different parameters with a few knobs. Again, everything is in the manual, but interesting modules, Stoermelder. Okay, and we have a new module from Studio 6+1, actually two modules, but it's a different version of the same sequencer. We have a sequencer that is meant to be used with a grid-like MIDI sequencer, something like the APC, Akai APC Mini. So you get visual confirmation on the MIDI controller itself, which steps are on, which steps are off. So you don't even have to look at the screen. It's like you have a hardware sequencer, but it works also well without MIDI. So again, there are two versions. One, you can use one MIDI device. The other one, you can use two MIDI devices, and you have more steps also. You have 4 different pages. So you can have really a long sequence. You can see here also the sequence, how it looks like. You have probability per row. You have 2 outputs, each one with its own probability. So here I'm using it to sequence some of the proc modules. It will sound like this. And again, you have probability per row. So you can have one for kick, which is with full probability, one for hi-hat with less probability. Here I have even one row, only one row that has more steps. So you can have, for each row, you can have a different amount of steps and create really nice polyrhythms. And there will be a video coming soon, hopefully, about this module with the APC, with the Akai APC Mini, how it will look like. Yeah, Studio 6+1. Okay, and we have new modules from Surge. We have a ring modulator, we have a flanger, and we have another reverb, the Reverb 2. So I have here the oscillator from Surge going through the ring modulator to the mixer, and I have the wavetable oscillator, also Surge, going to the flanger. All of this is going to the Reverb 2. It sounds like this. I'm using the Modula sequencer to sequence the voices. Oh yeah. Yes. So again, 3 new modules from Surge. Okay, and we have a few more new modules. We have Terraform from Valley, which is an amazing wavetable voice with a built-in low-pass gate, with all sorts of nice features. I have a video all about it. I will put a link in the description, of course. And we have also the Grayscale collection back in VCV with a few new modules like permutation and supercell. Again, I have a video about each of the modules, so I will put links in the description to this. We have a new developer, Grande, with a collection of quantizers that you should check out. I didn't have the time, unfortunately, but go check it out. And we have a new module from Frequency Domain. We have Ball of Confusion, which is a spherical wavetable oscillator. Really interesting. You can load your own wavetables. Again, I have a video all about it. I will put a link in the description. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this series, consider joining me on Patreon. And thank you for watching. Cheers and have a good one.